This is just a short story on how not knowing the person you're talking to and not knowing anything about them could really, really be a problem when you're having a conversation. For instance, in my case, I am a 34-year-old female woman, and I was talking to my boss, which was a much older individual. I mean, at least by 20 or 30 years or so. I was sitting in his office and was having a conversation about some things that had been going on at work. Of course, I'm using more of a jargon that he has no clue about. I mean, he was born, like I said, 20, 30 years before me, or even might have been more if I'm not mistaken, probably more. So I was talking to him as if he were someone of my generation, someone of my social area, which he clearly is not. So we're talking, and I'm throwing my hands up like I just don't understand, and I'm just going on like just like this with emotions. And he just looked at me, and finally he asked me, "Well, what happened?" And I explained to him what had happened in the situation that we were talking about. And before I knew it, not really realizing the age difference, and I explained something to him, and his mouth dropped. He looked at me, his face turned beet red. And at that point, I realized that I had said some things that he clearly had no clue about. I mean, that was like over his head, and he had no understanding of what I was saying. So after I spoke with him and left his office, later on I saw him again, and I pulled him to the side and I apologized, and I told him I apologize. I know me being a whole lot younger than you, you had no clue of what I was talking about, and I just assumed that you did. I used a lot of slang when I was speaking with him because I was really comfortable talking to him. But again, I didn't put into account that I am like, 30, 35 years maybe or more his junior. So once I apologized and put my mind together and explained it all over again, he shook my hand. He said, "I really appreciate you coming back to apologize." He said, "Because you were over my head with that. I had no clue what you were talking about. Used a lot of jargon that I didn't understand. And you young folks," and that's what he said, "you young folks need to get it together." So that's something that was something an experience for me that now I'm a little bit more aware of when I'm talking to a person, because everybody is not 34. Everybody is not 30-ish. You have a lot of baby boomers that are still working. So I had to understand who I was talking to. So that was my little piece of mayhem with, talking to my coworker or supervisor, if you may, as if he were my friend or someone in my circle. So please try to not do that when you're talking to someone, especially if they're older. Draw your audience.